Welcome back to the ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will dive deep into the explosive feud brewing between the formidable Tracy Quartermaine and the devious duo of Martin Gray and Veronica Ronnie Bard, as they scheme to seize control of the iconic Quartermaine mansion, setting off a chain of betrayals that could shatter the legacy of Port Charles' most powerful family. The roots of this tangled web of deceit trace back to a bitter clash that left scars on both sides, igniting a firestorm of revenge that no one in Port Charles saw coming. Tracy, ever the shrewd manipulator with a reputation for outwitting her foes, had orchestrated Martin's downfall by exposing his shady dealings and landing him behind bars in a high-stakes legal battle that rocked the Quartermaine inner circle. Now, freshly released and seething with resentment, Martin views the Quartermaine estate as the ultimate prize for payback, a symbol of everything Tracy holds dear: her family's storied history, their unyielding influence, and the sprawling mansion that has witnessed generations of triumphs and tragedies. What began as a personal vendetta has escalated into a full-blown assault on the Quartermaine dynasty, drawing in unexpected allies and exposing vulnerabilities that Tracy never imagined could be exploited. Fans have long admired Tracy's ironclad defense of her heritage, from her battles over ELQ shares to her sharp-tongued takedowns of rivals. But this time, Martin's calculated strikes hit closer to home, threatening to unravel the very foundation of her world. As whispers of this plot circulate through the dimly lit corners of the floating rib and the opulent halls of the hospital, it's clear that Port Charles is bracing for a showdown where old grudges fuel new deceptions, and loyalty is tested like never before. Tuning into the gripping October 28th episode, viewers were treated to a raw display of Martin's pent-up fury, a side of the usually suave lawyer that peeled back layers of civility to reveal a man consumed by the desire for retribution. Pacing in the shadows of his dimly lit office, Martin unleashed a torrent of venomous words directed at Tracy, vowing to dismantle her empire piece by piece for the humiliation she inflicted upon him during his imprisonment. His eyes burned with a cold intensity as he confided in Ronnie, detailing how Tracy's ruthless testimony not only stripped him of his freedom, but also tarnished his professional standing among the elite circles of Port Charles. This wasn't mere anger, it was a meticulously planned uprising, with Martin sketching out contingencies that involved pulling strings in legal loopholes and leveraging forgotten family secrets to strike at Tracy's core. Yet, beneath his bravado, there's a flicker of unease. Tracy's legendary status as the undisputed queen of cons means that for every move Martin makes, she has 3 counter-moves ready, honed from decades of navigating the treacherous waters of corporate intrigue and familial betrayals. In this episode, Martin's rage painted him as a force to be reckoned with, his words echoing the high-stakes drama that has defined General Hospital's most memorable villain arcs, leaving audiences on the edge of their seats, wondering if his boldness will be his salvation or his swift undoing. At the heart of their insidious collaboration lies a plot so audacious it borders on the diabolical, with Martin and Ronnie teaming up to forge Monica Quartermaine's will in a bid to redirect the mansion's ownership straight into Ronnie's grasping hands. This forgery isn't just a legal sleight of hand, it's a profound desecration of Monica's memory, twisting her final wishes into a weapon against the family she cherished, all while Martin revels in the chaos it sows among the Quartermaines. Picture the scene: late-night meetings in secluded safe houses, where Ronnie pores over falsified documents under Martin's guidance, her ambition gleaming as she envisions herself as the new mistress of the manor, hosting lavish parties that exclude the very bloodline that built it. But Martin's malice doesn't stop there. He's engineered a secondary twist by maneuvering Drew Kane into purchasing the property outright, a move that inflicts maximum pain on the Quartermaines beyond just Tracy. Drew, with his military precision and lingering ties to the family through his complicated history with Carly and the Casadinis, becomes an unwitting pawn in this game, his acquisition of the mansion symbolizing a corporate takeover that echoes the bitter elk wars of yesteryear. This double-layered scheme amplifies the betrayal, turning a family heirloom into a battleground where personal loyalties clash with opportunistic greed. And the Quartermaines must rally to reclaim what's rightfully theirs amid whispers of hidden clauses and shadowy investors lurking in the background. Tracy's impending retaliation promises to be a spectacle of epic proportions, a vengeful storm that will eclipse even the chilling machinations of the Ice Princess in its icy resolve and unrelenting force. Once she uncovers the full extent of Martin and Ronnie's treachery, perhaps through a tip from a loyal insider like Ned or a forensic audit triggered by Dylan's suspicions, Tracy will unleash her arsenal of cunning, from blackmailing key witnesses to exposing Martin's prison connections that could land him back in cuffs for good. Her wrath isn't impulsive. It's a symphony of calculated strikes, starting with verbal eviscerations in the Quartermaine living room that leave no doubt about her dominance, escalating to legal maneuvers that tie Ronnie's assets in knots and force Martin to confront the ghosts of his past misdeeds. Imagine Tracy, perched in her favorite armchair with a glass of scotch in hand, methodically dismantling their alliance by revealing Ronnie's ulterior motives, perhaps a long-buried affair or financial desperation that Martin overlooked in his haste. This revenge arc will ripple through Port Charles, drawing in allies like Laura Spencer, who might offer counsel drawn from her own history of outsmarting Renault family threats, and even pitting Drew against his own conscience as he grapples with the fallout of his purchase. For the Quartermaines, this isn't just about reclaiming a house, it's a reclamation of their pride, a testament to Tracy's unyielding spirit that has weathered scandals from Luke Spencer's cons to the Casa Dini invasions, proving once again why she's the unbreakable pillar of the family. With Ronnie cashing out after her quick sale of the mansion, she vanishes into the ether, leaving Martin to shoulder the full brunt of Tracy's fury in a solitary stand that feels almost poetic in its isolation. Ronnie's departure isn't a clean escape, it's laced with hints of future complications. As she slinks away to some undisclosed haven, maybe a luxurious hideout in the Hamptons funded by her ill-gotten gains, while ties to Port Charles linger through anonymous threats or surprise visits that could reignite the conflict down the line. Her role in the scheme was pivotal, providing the front for Martin's forgeries with her silver-tongued charm that disarmed initial suspicions. But her hasty exit underscores the fragility of their partnership, built on mutual disdain for Tracy rather than true loyalty. Martin, as the mastermind, faces the music alone, his once polished demeanor cracking under the pressure of impending doom, perhaps confiding in a bartender at the Metro Court about regrets that surfaced too late. This isolation amplifies the drama, turning Martin's arc into a cautionary tale of hubris, where his brainstorm backfires spectacularly, inviting not just Tracy's ire, but potential interventions from figures like Scott Baldwin, who might see echoes of his own legal entanglements in Martin's plight. As Ronnie's shadow fades, the focus sharpens on Martin, priming the canvas for a redemption quest or deeper descent that keeps viewers hooked on every twist. Martin's uncharacteristic venom in that heated exchange with Ronnie about Tracy was a revelation, a stark departure from his typical affable facade that stunned longtime fans and injected fresh energy into his character. The way he spat accusations, likening Tracy to a venomous serpent coiled around the Quartermaine fortune, evoked chilling parallels to the malevolent rants of his brother, Cyrus Renault, whose reign of terror through the prison system and underworld dealings left Port Charles scarred. Cyrus's cruelty was overt, marked by explosions and coerced alliances, but Martin's is insidious, a lawyer's precision in plotting that makes him all the more dangerous and intriguing as a villain. This evolution adds layers to the Grey family legacy, transforming Martin from a peripheral schemer into a central antagonist whose motivations stem from genuine hurt, blended with ambition that blinds him to the consequences. Does this darker side make Martin a more compelling player in the soap's tapestry, drawing comparisons to anti-heroes like Sonny Corinthos in his vengeful phases? And when Tracy delivers her inevitable justice, be it through a public unmasking or a private reckoning, will it feel like poetic justice for his betrayal, or spark sympathy for a man pushed to the brink? GH enthusiasts, share your thoughts. Were you caught off guard by Martin's ferocity? And do you believe he merits every bit of the storm Tracy is about to unleash? In the weeks ahead, this saga is poised to enthrall with subplots that weave in the broader Quartermaine tapestry, from Michael's protective instincts clashing with Willow's pleas for mercy, to a surprise alliance between Tracy and an unlikely confidant like Ava Jerome, whose own history of mansion takeovers offers sage advice. The mansion itself becomes a character in this drama, its creaking floors and grand fireplaces bearing witness to confrontations that expose hidden compartments filled with old letters revealing Martin's deeper grudge, perhaps a rejected business deal from decades ago that Tracy dismissed out of hand. As the dust settles from the initial sale, rumors swirl of environmental inspections uncovering forged permits tied to Ronnie's past, pulling in the PCPD and adding layers of procedural tension that heighten the stakes. Tracy's strategy might involve a gala fundraiser to rally support, turning the event into a trap where Martin is lured out of hiding, his arrogance leading to a slip-up captured on hidden cameras. This extended conflict not only spotlights Tracy's resilience, but also explores themes of legacy and forgiveness in Port Charles, where enemies can become uneasy allies overnight. Viewers can expect emotional monologues from Tracy reflecting on Monica's true spirit, contrasting the forgery's cruelty with genuine family bonds that end her. Next, we will learn about the explosive potential for Britt Westburn to finally unveil the shadowy remnants of Caesar Faison's last enigmatic endeavor to Jason Morgan, potentially reshaping their tangled bond forever. In the intricate web of Port Charles secrets, Britt has been guarding these explosive truths like a vault under siege. And as tensions escalate, her silence could fracture the fragile trust she's building with Jason, turning their budding romance into a battlefield of unspoken doubts and hidden agendas. Imagine the weight of those concealed details, blueprints of Faison's diabolical schemes, perhaps involving encrypted data drives hidden in obscure European safe houses or coded messages that tie back to long-buried criminal empires pressing down on Britt, forcing her to confront whether vulnerability might be her only salvation. At the heart of any enduring partnership lies an unshakable foundation of honesty, and for Britt and Jason, this principle becomes a litmus test amid the chaos of their lives, where every whispered confession could either forge steel or shatter glass. Britt's internal struggle is palpable. She's witnessed Jason's unwavering loyalty to Carly Corinthos time and again, a pattern that stings like salt in a fresh wound, reminding her of past betrayals from men who placed duty over devotion. Jason has stepped up in profound ways, lately arranging discreet security details during her late-night clinic shifts or sharing rare glimpses into his own haunted history, with the Quartermaines demonstrating a depth of commitment that chips away at her defenses, urging her toward the precipice of full disclosure. If there's one soul in Port Charles Britt might bear it all to, it's Jason, whose steely resolve has pulled her from the brink before, but only if she believes he won't recoil from the darkness she's inherited from her villainous lineage. This dynamic isn't just romantic tension, it's a psychological chess game where each move reveals layers of Britt's fear of abandonment, rooted in her tumultuous upbringing under Liesl Obrich's manipulative shadow, adding emotional stakes that could redefine their connection. Fans of General Hospital will vividly recall the harrowing ordeal Britt endured at the luxurious, yet perilous Five Poppies resort in Croatia, a sun-drenched paradise that morphed into a nightmare of intrigue and narrow escapes, drawing Jason across oceans to extract her from the jaws of danger. Picture the scene: Britt, cornered in an opulent suite overlooking the Adriatic Sea, her pulse racing as shadowy figures closed in, only for Jason's timely intervention scaling resort walls under cover of night and outmaneuvering armed guards to spirit her away in a stolen speedboat, their escape laced with gunfire and unspoken gratitude. That incident wasn't mere coincidence. It exposed Britt to a syndicate of Faison loyalists still operating in the Balkans, their operations veiled as high-end tourism ventures, but fueled by illicit arms deals and data smuggling. Now, as the plot thickens, enter Jen Sidwell, a cunning operative with a silver tongue and a network of spies stretching from Zagreb to Zurich, who's poised to trap Britt in a web of coercion, demanding she assume the fabricated identity of Professor Henry Hank Dalton, a reclusive biochemist whose research into neural enhancements hides darker applications tied to Faison's legacy. Sidwell's leverage is ruthless. He's unearthed falsified credentials and planted compromising photos linking Britt to Dalton's supposed experiments, threatening to expose her unless she complies, plunging her into a labyrinth of espionage that could unravel her entire existence in Port Charles. This escalation isn't isolated. It's a calculated escalation from the resort fiasco, where Sidwell was the unseen puppet master, now tightening the strings to force Britt's hand in a high-stakes impersonation that risks international fallout, adding another layer of peril. Rocco Falconeri, the young son of Maxie Jones and the late Nathan West, could unwittingly become collateral damage in this brewing storm, prompting Britt to question her solitary stance and seek Jason's unyielding protection. Rocco, with his innocent curiosity and penchant for adventure around the Metro Court, might stumble into Sidwell's orbit during a seemingly harmless school outing to the docks, where hidden shipments of experimental serums disguised as medical supplies arrive under the cover of fog-shrouded nights. If Rocco overhears a cryptic exchange or glimpses a tattooed enforcer bearing Faison's insignia, he could become a target for silencing, his safety hanging by a thread that Britt, as his surrogate aunt, cannot ignore. This vulnerability might crystallize Britt's resolve, leading her to a midnight rendezvous with Jason at the pier, where the crash of waves mirrors the turmoil in her heart, as she weighs the cost of secrecy against the boy's life. In this invented twist, Britt envisions worst-case scenarios: Rocco kidnapped to a remote villa in the Croatian hills, used as bait to ensure her compliance, fueling a maternal instinct that overrides her self-preservation, making Jason's involvement not just desirable, but imperative. As circumstances spiral toward catastrophe, Britt may reach a breaking point, confiding in Jason, not out of weakness, but strategic necessity, realizing that half-truths will doom them both, while full transparency could harness his enforcer prowess against the encroaching threats. Jason, ever the pragmatist, might initially bristle at the revelations scope the project's ties to frozen offshore accounts, funding sleeper cells, or holographic decoys, mimicking Faison's voice for posthumous commands, but his core empathy, honed from years of shielding the vulnerable, like Sam and Danny, would ultimately prevail. He understands the allure of inherited shadows. After all, his own life with Sonny Corinthos has been a tapestry of moral ambiguities, where loyalty demands overlooking flaws, allowing him to view Britt's entanglement not as betrayal, but a cry for alliance. This empathy could manifest in tender moments, like Jason methodically dismantling a surveillance bug in Britt's apartment, his hands steady as he reassures her that shared burdens lighten the load, bridging the gap between their guarded worlds. Despite the mess Britt's in navigating double agents and falsified lab reports, Jason's no stranger to chaos, having survived warehouse shootouts and mob wars. So he'd factor in her repeated brushes with mortality as mitigating circumstances. Britt's history is a chronicle of close calls that underscore her resilience. From dodging the resort's catastrophic blastware, a timed device rigged to her suit's safe nearly claimed her amid flying debris and acrid smoke, to evading Liesel's botched escape plans that left her stranded in a derelict warehouse on the outskirts of town. In a new layer of detail, consider an unrevealed incident during her medical residency, where Faison's operatives tested a prototype neurotoxin on unwitting subjects, forcing Britt to sabotage the trial under duress, her quick thinking saving lives, but etching permanent paranoia into her psyche. These perils aren't random. They're threads in the Faison tapestry, compelling Britt to stay entangled for reasons that blend survival with a twisted sense of unfinished legacy, perhaps driven by a hidden journal of her father's that promises redemption through completion. Yet, each survival amplifies her isolation, making Jason's potential role as confidant a beacon in the fog, where his tactical mind could decode the project's enigmas. From encrypted algorithms mimicking chess strategies to biochemical formulas that blur the line between cure and curse, the crux of Britt's dilemma lies in the cruel leverage of her Huntington's disease medication, a lifeline doled out by Sidwell's network like chits in a deadly game. Where missing even one dose could unleash the neurodegenerative storm she's fought to suppress. This condition, inherited from her fractured family tree, manifests in subtle tremors during high-stress consultations at the hospital, a private torment that amplifies her fear of losing control not just physically, but over the secrets that define her. Coupled with anxieties over Rocco's precarious position, the stakes form of ice: surrender to the project and risk ethical ruin, or defy it and court a relapse that leaves her bedridden, visions blurring as the disease ravages her neurons unchecked. In an inventive expansion, envision Britt discovering a black market alternative through a shady pharmacist in Rice Plaza, but tainted batches laced with trackers, heightening the paranoia and forcing her to accelerate her confession to Jason for a collaborative solution. This medical stranglehold isn't abstract, it's visceral, evoking flashbacks to her initial diagnosis amid Obrick's denials, where denial gave way to desperate treatments, now weaponized against her in this phase in Endgame. Ultimately, Britt's vow of silence can't endure indefinitely, paving the way for Jason to absorb a torrent of jaw-dropping revelations. From the project's core objective, a global extortion scheme using deepfake tech to impersonate world leaders to intimate truths about Nathan West's unresolved fate. Perhaps a fake death orchestrated by Faison to protect a hidden heir. Nathan, Britt's brother and a beacon of normalcy in her chaotic life, might emerge as the linchpin, with clues suggesting he's alive, incognito in a witness protection program. His demise a cover for infiltrating the very syndicate now pursuing Britt. As she unravels these threads in hushed tones to Jason, perhaps over coffee in a dimly lit booth at Kelly's, rain pattering against the windows, the shockwaves could ripple through Port Charles, implicating allies like Spinelli in decoding efforts or drawing Sonny's ire if mob ties surface. This cathartic outpouring isn't without risk. Jason might grapple with the moral quagmire, his enforcer code clashing with Britt's pleas, yet it holds the promise of unity, transforming their alliance from tentative flirtation to unbreakable pact. General Hospital spoilers tease that this pivotal disclosure could ignite a spark of deeper intimacy between Jason and Britt, weaving their destinies tighter amid the drama. So tune in daily to witness how trust triumphs over treachery in the unforgiving world of soaps.